Hey, yo, salute to the people. It's a social forecast coming to y'all at the crack of dawn on a Saturday morning. Yeah, I know this 24-hour grind with me don't stop, but let's get into it. There's been a lot of recent developments. In this current social climate that we live in, present day, there's a lot of things going on, right? On one hand, you have the victims being victimized. On one hand, you have the perpetrators perpetrating the bullshit. And then now, most recently, in most recent current events, you have kind of a new dynamic that has been introduced lately, and it's kind of causing a big stir, not just in social culture, not just in pop culture, but also in social media and in media in general. There's a new dynamic, right? You have the people who are not buying into the bullshit. Those people who are being accused of things like victim shaming, victim blaming. These are all kind of these new tagline things that have seemed to crop up lately and become very prominent in every big news story, every major current event. um, you have these claims, right? I've spoken about some of the most recent ones on my platform. No need to really get into those again. Everybody's talking about them. You know, the Jasmine Elon sexual assault claims in the nightclub, the Jussie Smollett situation, um, just to name a few. You have these double standards as it pertains to men and women and the LGBTQ community versus the heterosexual community. You've got the regular, the continual um, racial dynamic that is going on in this country. And one thing becomes very clear to me, as I continue to reflect on all these different uh, things that play a part in or play their respective part in what makes up the whole of current social climate. And so, with all of the things that are going on now, right? And this is not this blog just to get out ahead of this thing. For any women who might be listening or watching this video, none of what I'm about to say is an indictment on women in general, but this is more so a message to my fellas. And I've done this before, but this is a very serious thing, and I want all my fellas listening, watching it to really pay attention, right? We have gotten to the point in the adult world um, where it becomes very dangerous to date. It becomes very dangerous to meet new people, to interact, and in ways that have always been very normal to meet and interact, as consenting adults in the dating world. Um, Sex is now becoming like a very dangerous playground, right? You have situations where women are making decisions to engage in certain activity. Now, this is not to name anybody, this is not to point out any claims or cases. This is just the collective of the things that I've been seeing recently. And men who have gotten jammed up and who are having their entire lives torn apart because women are choosing to engage and interact with them, and then for whatever reason, regretting it later, changing their mind later, you know, becoming exposed and not wanting to get into shit with the husband or boyfriend that they have at home while they're acting reckless in the streets. I just want y'all fellas to be careful and understand something. Consent now is not what it used to be. You damn near now have to have written consent or recorded verbal consent in order to engage in sexual activity now. This shit, and I say this, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. This shit is serious. It's not a joke. It's not meant to be sarcastic in any way, shape, or form. You engage in any kind of physical activity, as a heterosexual man with any woman, And literally, after the fact, you can be accused of forcing that individual to do something against their will, even if and even though, for all intents and purposes, that person was fully involved, fully participant in those actions or activities in that moment. It's like, and I don't know if it's the law, I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's the Me Too movement. I call it an epidemic for reasons that I won't get into in this blog. But it's like you can be accused after the fact, even when there's no evidence to suggest you can be accused of doing something that the law classifies as being illegal, right? And I'm saying all of this, and I'm really hoping, and my platform is a small platform, and however big, at whatever point my platform becomes, is not going to change the reality of the fact that my fellas, y'all need to be very careful how y'all move. Matter of fact, if you're not in a serious dating relationship or married or whatever your situation, if you're single and mingling and out there meeting new people, please be very careful. I would almost go so far as to say, don't even bother to engage in any sexual activity with any female that you don't know well enough to know what the character of that person is. If you meet someone in the club, you meet someone out at a bar, or whatever the case, I mean, it's crazy to have to say this in 2019, but try to stay as clear as possible away from that female because some of these females have whole families at home. And I know that generally speaking, men don't care about those types of things. It's like if someone that you meet is willing to give you the time of day and they don't have the respect for whoever they may have at home, men generally don't care. And they're going to do whatever it is they want to do. But the reason why I'm saying be careful and try and stay clear of those types of situations these days is because that that woman has already shown you that she's not loyal to the man that she has at home. You think that woman's going to be loyal to you when she gets caught by her husband or boyfriend, or when somehow pops up on social media in a live video, or you know text messages are found, or phone calls, or direct messages? You really think that woman is going to come clean to the person that she has at home? No. If anything, she's going to throw you under the bus and make it seem like whatever was happening, it was either being more pursued by you than by her, or if there was actually physical contact, it's going to be portrayed as she was taken advantage of. Maybe she was drugged. There was she was raped or assaulted. That's what some of these girls who are not being raised right, who are now women, that they have no conscience, no conscience at all. And the more of these stories that we see play out, see, people say shit like the victim is the victim and you always have to side with the victim. What about when there is no victim? You fellas are still going to get the short end of that stick. There's no victim, and yet you're being blamed for something, accused of something, and it's your word against that. We lose every time to a woman, not just in the court of law, but in the court of public opinion, which is the worst court to be convicted in. No evidence is necessary. All that's really needed is an accusation. And it's like Charlemagne the God says all the time on the Breakfast Club and on other platforms where I've heard him speak. Nobody, nobody is interested in the truth when the lie is more entertaining. That is by far one of the realest quotes, one of the realest things I've heard in recent years. Like if we go back to this situation with this whole Elon Island situation with this Dominique dude, if somehow he's able to prove, or if somehow it comes out that this woman lied on him, that this woman falsely accused everything that she alleged happened, his life's already ruined. He can't get that perception back. because people are still going to look at him as, well, he was still wrong for doing this, or he was still wrong for doing that. Y'all fellas got to wake up and smarten up, especially my young fellas. See, I'm older. I don't have to worry about these types of situations because I'm not in that. I'm not in that world, and I haven't been in that world for a very long time. And the reason why I speak to my fellas on situations like this is because not enough people are doing it, and not enough people care to. It's all about victim uplifting. It's all about victim sympathizing, and it's never about the person who is accused. It's supposed to be the person who is accused is supposed to be treated as innocent until proven guilty. That's never the case. Once you're accused, you're guilty, and good luck proving that you're not guilty. And then even if by some weird twist of fate you're able to prove that you're innocent, you're still looked at as crazy, and your life is already ruined. Your life is already ruined. You've got family members looking at you crazy because let's be real, not everybody's family is set up to where they're gonna ride with you because you're family. You have people, you know, who will look at you, close friends, family members, who will automatically look at you as crazy just because you were simply accused of something. And that in and of itself is stressful. Then you got the stress of having to go through the legal system to prove your innocence when it's a situation, even when other people are speaking on it who were there to witness those situations saying, listen, this person did nothing wrong. I was there and saw the whole thing. This was a two-way, you know, two consenting adults having fun in a situation. And now because that situation went left, you have a person saying something was done to me. Again, I'm not specifying a situation. I'm just using an example. It's just to let y'all fellas know that listen, these females, and this is not, again, not to be funny, and it's not an indictment on the female gender. There's a lot of good women still out here who are respectable, who are loyal, not just to a person or people, but to situations and respect the game, and it is what it is. Like there's nothing wrong with choosing to engage in whatever activity with a person, even if you're in a relationship, if you're married, or if you're single, but you later regret doing whatever you did with that individual. There's nothing wrong with just simply having those regrets. There's nothing wrong with that. But now it's like, nah, these women can't live with those regrets. And it's like, now I got to convince the world that this wasn't my choice and something was done to me against my will. And with social media and with YouTube and with cell phone cameras and everything, there's a platform for everybody. So it's very easy for anybody to say, listen, shit, fuck that. This person tried to do something to me that I didn't want them to do, that I didn't want to happen. And like I said, once that happens, good luck. So I don't want to make this one too long. I just want my fellas to please be careful. Please seriously vet. Like, the same way that there was a time when people were very conscious of things like STDs and, who you lay down with, because you don't want to contract a communicable disease, an STD. Well, socially speaking, this is kind of like a call to action to all my fellas, especially my younger fellas who aren't experienced enough yet in the game to understand or to have that willpower that, like, yo, sometimes that quick in the moment decision can really cost you your life in more ways than one. Treat these women as if they have STDs, so to speak. Like just abstain from laying down with these women if you don't know them, if you don't know their character, if you haven't dealt with them for more than just a few days or a couple weeks, long enough to really know what their situation is. Because I'm telling you, they're not going to choose you in a situation where if they do have somebody at home that they're stepping out on and lying to, when that shit hits the fan, bro, they're not going to step up and be held accountable. They're going to play any angle that they possibly can to try and get out of that situation. I've seen it done. Not on YouTube, not on social media, not these cases and these stories that we hear about. I've seen it in real life. People I've really known I've seen that shit play out. I've seen it. It's happened to me, not in a sense of me being ever being accused of anything, but it's happened to me where, you know, people that I'm dealing with, an individual I'm dealing with, doing shit that they shouldn't be doing, and then get exposed and then say, oh, well, I was drugged, or oh, well, I was forced, or oh, well, hey, this was against my will. Y'all got to understand, like, a lot of these women, and we've talked about some of the reasons why, but a lot of these women are not being raised right. They don't have the proper moral compass. They don't have basic integrity to say, all right, I fucked up. I made a decision. I made a choice. My actions were not becoming of a real woman. I'm going to eat that and live with that. I'm not talking about women who were assaulted and raped. I'm talking about the women who choose to do fuck shit and then falsely accuse somebody after the fact just because they don't want to deal with the embarrassment that comes with the choices they made. Fellas, please be careful. Don't fuck with these chicks. It's hard to read these females. A lot of them will show you exactly what it is they want you to see. Will lie, cheat, just straight up scumbags out here nowadays. And we ain't talking about men, and we're not comparing men and women right now. I'm talking to my fellas, and I'm telling my fellas, be careful, because one night or 30 minutes or 20 minutes of fun can potentially cost you your life, literally land you behind the wall, behind some shit that you have no knowledge of or played no part in. So please be careful. Stop trusting these females. I want 2019 to usher in a new movement for us men. There is no recourse for us. No one standing up for us, right? There's a movement for every other group. There's a movement for every other gender identity. There's a movement for everybody but us. We are the last. And I ride with all my fellas. I don't care how many people say more of us are not worthy of that than are. Listen, if the women can have a movement, if the LGBTQ community can have a movement, if the black community can have a movement, fuck. If MAGA can have a movement, then it's time for my fellow men to have a movement. Be careful, especially men who look like me, come from the same places as I do. Black and brown men, right? Minority men. It's even harder for us in the system. Once you become a statistic, once you are put into that system, it's like a black hole. It's almost impossible to get out. So avoid ever getting involved in that in the first place, please. Like, I pray, like, that you all just smarten up. Don't trust these women. I don't care where you meet them. I don't care how cool they seem. I don't care how willing they are. Don't trust these women. There are too many, quite frankly, good women out here who want to do things the right way and who are not going to have y'all out here looking crazy the next morning. You see what I'm saying? Like, be careful. That's really my call to all my fellas out there, because I don't want to see another young man get jammed up behind some shit that should never have gone so far left, but did. And to the people who tag anybody who just has the foresight to want to see evidence, to want to piece a story together and say, look, well, this doesn't make much sense. To those people who automatically tag those individuals as being victim blamers and victim shamers and chauvinists and all of the dumb shit, to those people who do that, just understand that there's a special place in hell for people like you, 100%, because y'all can't want people to respect victims and empathize with victims, but then at the same time not want to have respect for, and not want to empathize with the individuals who are wrongly accused. We got to stop acting like that shit don't happen. Like that shit 100% happens. There are people out here every day in the real world, in real life, who are falsely accused of things that they literally had no knowledge of and literally played no part in. That shit exists. And it's very sad that we act like those types of things don't exist. And I understand it's not the norm, and I understand it doesn't happen every day. You know, more often than not, when someone or something is accused, there's some truth to it, but you still have to allow the facts to be sorted through. You still have to allow the situation to play out. Let an individual have their day in court, so to speak, figuratively and literally. Like, let an individual fight for their freedom. Let an individual fight, for their side of the story. Can't just say, well, if this person's accusing this, then it must be true. Nah, we can't do that. Anyway, man, y'all know what it is with me. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I invite you to stay a while, hit the notification bell for all notifications on future content uploaded to this channel. It's a social forecast. Peace and love.